Prepare to experience the strongest radio allowable by law. Secrets will be revealed. Myths dispelled. From the studio gym where excuses never apply, it's Superhuman Radio with your host, Carl Lenore.
I'm really excited about today's show. I've been working on getting this guest on for some time now. He actually appeared on my show. He's one of my earliest guests in 2006, and he's Porter Cottrell. I bet everybody has a Porter Cottrell story, but Porter Cottrell, to me, embodies what is good about bodybuilding, the sport of bodybuilding. I met him when I started my journey as a 330-pound fat bastard. He was in Jeff Rui's powerhouse gym. He was training people, working out himself. And the gym was adorned of pictures of him. And I looked up and I thought, man, I never realized a human being could look like that. And then here's this guy, approachable, very nice, never said a bad word about anybody that I've ever heard. And I thought, this is bodybuilding. Then I had my eyes open and I started to get involved with pro bodybuilders. And I thought, well, no, they're not all like Porter. But with that being said, he has kept the flame of physical culture alive. And I'm going to tell you why I say that. Because he has been rock steady in his convictions about how to develop the best possible physique, conditioning, and health, because he's older now, of anyone I've ever seen. He didn't fall for intermittent fasting. He didn't fall for keto. He didn't fall for any of this stuff. He's been doing the same thing and getting the same amazing results. That's the thing. Like, if he would have tried some of these other things, it wouldn't have worked better. He knew instinctively, like, this is what works. And now that we look back, we realize that this is also what works for health and longevity. Before we bring Porter on, I have to thank our title sponsor, and that's Legendary Foods, makers of the cinnamon sweet roll, the chocolate sweet roll, and the wild berry sweet roll. These are amazing. If you've ever been in the airport, you walk past a Cinnabon, and you thought, I wish I had the guts to eat that crap. Well, now you can, because it tastes just like a Cinnabon, but it's only 1 gram of sugar, 5 grams of net carbs, and 20 grams of high-quality dairy protein. Go to shrnetwork.biz/legendary and pick up sweet rolls. If you have children, pick up extra, because why do they have to know that they're eating something healthy? They'll love the way they taste. And while you're there, also check out the Tasty Pastry, which is the upgraded version of a Pop-Tart. Once again, that's less than 1 gram of sugar, 20 grams of high-quality protein, and 5 net carbs. Again, shrnetwork.biz/legendary. Use the code SHR10 and save big time. Okay, now it's enough of my babbling on. Let's get Porter on here. How you doing, Porter?
I'm doing great, Carl. Thanks for having me on, buddy. I really appreciate it.
Oh, man. I've been wanting to do this for a long time, but you're busy. You're really like, so one of the things excuse me, one of the things I said about you in the write-up is that what you learned being a pro bodybuilder, you have now taught so many people in Louisville, Kentucky. There's so many people I know that I run into, and I'll talk to them, and they're in great shape. Oh yeah, I worked with Porter. And you still work with pro novice, or what do I want to say, amateur bodybuilders trying to get their pro card.
Mm-hmm.
You really love this, don't you? This is not something you do because you have to. This is something you do because you want to, right?
Oh, well, that is 100% right. I love, like, let me just say this. I say this all the time, Carl. I've been really working out since I was around 12 years old, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I tell people all the time, and I tell all my clients this, you know, so I figure, so we're looking at close to what, 40 something years I've been working out.
Mm-hmm.
I love working out today more than I ever have in my entire life. And one of the contributing factors to me retiring from bodybuilding, because bodybuilding was changing when I decided to retire, and I didn't want to be a part of it any longer, is to teach people how to be healthy. And so I still get to work out. I'm around the gym atmosphere, and then I'm just teaching people to be healthy, nothing more, nothing less. And it's really, at the end of the day, my friend, it's really all about longevity. And the only way you're going to maintain longevity is to exercise and to have somewhat of a balanced diet program in your life. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be a bodybuilder. You don't have to be anything other than just try to think about, hey, I want to be healthy. So I try to make decent choices the majority of the time, if you can.
So you and I have a common friend, Dwight Witten. He's over at
I love Dwight.
WHS, the big AM station here in town.
Mm-hmm.
And you transformed him, not only his body, but the way he thinks about his life and food. And he's always, like, when we talk, he's always looking to step it up. And I remember when he first started training with you, you told him something you told me early on. Strip away as much fat as possible and let's see what we're working with.
Yeah, exactly. One thing I will say, what I've learned over the years, a lot of people don't realize this, but I had an eating disorder during my bodybuilding career that I was able to keep at bay to a certain degree and do what I had to do to compete, but still I struggled. And through just realizing that, and then one day I just said, this is it, I'm done. What I realized that people have a very bad relationship with food. And Dwight was one that had a bad relationship with food, just like me. So what I did with him, and like I try to do with other people, is try to change your relationship with food and have a healthy one. And when you do that, and when you realize that food no longer controls you because it has no bearing on me, if I didn't have to eat, I probably wouldn't eat, but I eat because I want to be healthy. And I think that's what Dwight did. I think Dwight finally connected the dots, if you will. And then you take Daryl Isaacs too, the hammer. He's lost 80 pounds over the last year. It's about a relationship that you develop with food that no longer controls you. Do you understand what I'm saying, Carl?
Right.
So
I know.
That's exactly what Dwight did.
I was the Walking Dead at 39 years old.
I remember when you were very heavy.
Fitted for a pacemaker, they told me.
Yeah, I remember when you were heavy. And you've done it all for a long, long time. And look at Dwight. I think Dwight's going on his 4th year. And I pray that, and I'm sure he will. Daryl will do the same thing. And I've had other people I've worked with that's developed a better relationship with food. And really, if you can think like that, then your whole mindset changes about working out, about eating. It no longer becomes that important to you, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah. Because sometimes when you focus on things too much, they become enemies.
Oh, my Lord. Yeah, absolutely, dude.
So I want you to tell a story that you told me one day. We were sitting at the gym. You were getting ready for a pro competition, and you had really cut your fat bad, like horribly bad. And you were getting ready to squat that day. You remember the story you told me? And you started to cry, like you didn't know why you felt this way, and you had to go home.
No, you're okay. What? Here, let me just say this to you. I do realize when you look at the condition of bodybuilding, and this is no disrespect to any bodybuilders today, but you look at bodybuilders today and in the 90s and the 80s, there was just a different level of conditioning. I do believe, it's my personal opinion, in order to get in that type of condition, you have to suffer. You're going to suffer.
Yes.
Fair.
Yes.
But unfortunately, as you get older, you get wiser. Unfortunately, I thought in my brain that, I needed to bring my body or my fat intake down as low as I could in order to get lean. Well, that does a lot of terrible things to your body as far as your mindset, your overall feeling of well-being, your energy levels, your mood, your hormones, your libido. All of that plays a big role when you dissipate fat like that to that degree. And I remember I was getting ready to do legs, and I couldn't do it. And Carl, do you remember Fedrin or Ma Wong? Remember thank God we had that back then. But even to get myself to do something, I had to use that because I felt so lethargic, almost like a zombie. And I remember leaving the gym, it was on a Sunday morning, And I went out in my car and I had a breakdown. Like, what the heck is going on? And then finally, I remember a conversation that Lila Brala and I had at the FIBO. We was in Madrid, I think, at a FIBO. And he said to me, hey, what kind of fats do you take in? And I said, well, I don't. And he laughed at me, goes, man, are you serious? I said, yeah, because in my brain, I thought if I eat fat, I'm going to get fat. And it has no bearing on anything. So I remember that little conversation I'd had with Lee, and I'd bought a bottle of a Norwegian, Barlean's high lignin flaxseed oil.
Right.
Remember that?
Right.
And I went home, Carl, and I remember shaking. I didn't even know to shake the bottle up. And I remember taking a tablespoon of that down and I had to chase it with some Sprite. And I realized, oh my God, this is terrible. But Carl, within 30 minutes, 30 minutes, I felt like a normal person. So that's when I realized fat was such an important element. And from that point on, that's when I started balancing my diet out, and I never struggled again. Never did I feel bad.
And you've never, so if I remember correctly, because you used to even do some help people with their meal prep. You used to teach them how to meal prep.
I had a meal preparation business, yeah.
Right. So what were the macro ratios that you usually got people into in the beginning?
I tried to move it more toward like a 50, 30, 20.
Right.
Base your meals on, and by the way, if I may say this, I mean, I don't consider myself, I don't like to use the word, I don't eat a bodybuilding diet. I just eat a balanced diet. I just believe through trial and error, Carl, that I need to base my meals on protein, and I move from that. I don't base my meals on a carbohydrate. So anytime I get ready to eat, and I try to teach all my clients this, think about, okay, what kind of, there's a multitude of different proteins out there, but what kind of protein am I going to get? And I build from that. And then the only thing that I do is so simplistic is I don't eat starchy carbohydrates after 3 o'clock.
You taught me that. I don't either.
It's as simple as that. And it's not rocket science. And, you spoke of the Atkins diet and, the intermittent fasting. And I mean, I know people are really into the intermittent fasting, and I don't want to be, I mean, we do intermittent fast. I mean, breakfast, it means breaking fast. Right. I mean, like yesterday, I ate my last meal at 6, so I didn't eat again until 5 a.m. So I went for a pretty long period of time without eating. Right. So I did have an intermittent fasting situation transpire. And I just, anyway, that's how I live my life. But I think you should base your meals on protein and move from there, especially, my friend, as you get older. Because remember, the acceleration of aging, our body starts to atrophy. And there's going to be a point in time, depending on hormones and so on and so forth, that we can't even alter that atrophy effect. The aging process is going to take place. But so if we can base our meals on protein, which we know sustains almost everything in the body, then why not base it on that and move your other macronutrients to the side and add to your meal from that point? It just makes it so simple. Yeah,
I agree. Who were the big influences on nutrition for you when you were coming up in the 80s? Was Vince Gironda somebody you looked to for advice, or who else? Armin Tanny?
No one.
No.
Listen, I'm just going to be honest with you. Let me just say this to you. I remember as I was a young, inspiring bodybuilder, you'd hear so many different contradicting things. I was like 19 years old. And I was, this person would tell you this, Carl, this person would tell you that. Right. And I remember one day I just thought, okay, this is ridiculous. So I went to someone by the name of, the guy's name was Steve Constance. He was the best bodybuilder in a tri-state at that given point in time. I was in awe of his physique. And I finally remember I went one day to him and I said, Steve, can I, timidly, if you will, I went and asked, Steve, can I ask you a question? And I just posed this to him. I said, hey, dude, I keep hearing all these contradictory opinions on diet, nutrition, exercise, so on. What do you think? He goes, Porter, what I would tell you to do, everyone is uniquely different, but we're all the same. Read as much as you can. Try to discover what works for your body. And because no one will ever know you like you do. And that's where it started. And as I told Dwight last time I did a show with Dwight, I used to go get these books and I would read them, dude. I couldn't afford them, so I'd be real meticulous with the pages and stay up all night. I take it back, get another one. And then through a trial and error of my first show, I realized, well, hey, if only thing I changed is the way I eat. If I just go ahead and continue this on and just increase the caloric intake, then that will make me a better bodybuilder. And Carl, this is the God's honest truth. I'll tell you about this. I don't know if I ever told you this. My very first show I did drug-free. I think I weighed 151. I promise you, my friend, the next show I did was 10 months later. That was in Mr. Louisville, Mr. Kentucky. I weighed 178 pounds in 10 months. You know, that's the start of my career. And that's when I realized that food is the basis of changing your physique. And just like now, we love to work out. I think you love working out just like I do. But really, it's all predicated upon what you eat. And that's really just as simple as it gets. You know,
I want to put a picture up. I want to put a couple pictures up and ask you, when was this picture taken?
Oh, that was after the 1988 Junior Nationals.
Man. And look how flat your stomach was. That's something you don't see in today's bodybuilders anymore.
Unfortunately, you're probably pretty spot on.
You can't. None of them could do vacuum pose anymore. What about this picture here with what's
that was after the 1992 Chicago Pro. I beat Kevin in that show, but look how great Kevin looks.
Yeah. Well, you both look great. Look how grainy you were.
Yeah.
I mean, that was amazing. To be able to get to that level of body fat is really a lot harder than people think.
It's a difficult process, but it's a fun process. Now that show was after the 93 Chicago Pro. And I know you don't know this, but Johnny and I, we were both freezing. It was so cold off the bay. I remember being so cold. I told Chris Long, I said, dude, I can't take it anymore. I'm freezing. You know, but look how good he looks.
Well, you too. I mean, you know, one of the things I notice about you is you are very symmetrical and proportioned. You know, it's not like some people you see their torso is too long for their legs or their legs are too long. I mean, you really had the genetics to utilize. You have a beautiful physique. Now, one more picture, and then I want to talk about some of your beginnings. So that was a magazine.
It was 99. That was my last photo shoot I did.
And that was one of the pictures that was on the wall at Powerhouse Gym.
I weighed about 218 there.
Was that your heaviest? Because I remember you said you tried to get you got to 230, but you didn't like the way you looked, right?
Well, in the off season, I would never, my last Mr. Olympia in 99, when I got, right before I quit 4 weeks prior to the show, I was ready around 220, 221. But I didn't like my physique anymore. I did not like it. I was no longer an artist. I always kind of considered myself an artist. I was just really a bodybuilder, and then didn't want to do it anymore, buddy. It was over for me. I lost that special little thing I had.
Yeah.
I felt like a freak. If you want me to be honest with you, if you want me to be straight with you.
Well, let's talk about that. It's almost like the sport of bodybuilding rewards the freaks, but is that because the audience wants to see freaks, or is there something else going on?
No. I think the judges set that. I think they set the tone. And like when Dorian came in around 95, 96, Dorian was larger, and then it progressed from there, and it has escalated ever since. But the judges could pull that back if they wanted to say, hey, look, guys. This is really not the type of physique we're really wanting. And all those guys that are larger, they can dial all that back. They can change their physique and become more sleek, more, bring the beauty back, if you will.
Yeah. I've got so many questions for you. I'm trying to pick one that goes. No, so did you follow Vince Gironda or any of those guys?
Very familiar. Yeah, absolutely.
What about Jack LaLanne?
Yeah, I followed them, and I was in, as a young kid, I was in awe with them. But I never really took much from them. My favorite bodybuilder growing up, honestly, was Bob Paris. And then I was just in awe, but I never really probably garnered any information from them. You
just appreciated what they were.
I adored their look. And that's what I would sought after, that's what in my mind, they were statuesque, they were beautiful in their physique, if that makes sense to you, the way they were built. And that's the really way the human body, the male body, if you will, should look if you're going to compete. And, that's what I, thought about doing, as I was getting older. I wanted to look like that, if you will, but at the same time, keeping my own identity.
So one of the things we talked on, you were on the show probably 2 or 3 times in 2006. One of the things we talked about was what motivated you as a young boy to start bodybuilding. And I said to you, I kind of think that all of us who gravitate towards physical culture have some sort of inadequacy that we're trying to correct or fill or feel better. talk about what started you into this.
Well, what really started me, because I didn't know what bodybuilding was, is, seeing my first Hercules movie.
Mm-hmm.
My father took me to the drive-in to see my first Hercules movie, and I was just literally in awe. But I often wonder where that drive came from, and I'm just going to be straight with you. I would probably be what you would be considered an abused child.
Okay.
Cool. And once I got a hold of, so that was painful, but once I got a hold of bodybuilding, or like the working out thing, and I noticed some changes, just minute changes within my physique, it started making me feel better about me.
Yes.
And I grew up kind of like without a father, my real father, but it's something that I could do myself, and I had full control over it. And that was the probably driving force to me doing bodybuilding, because when you have an abusive situation as a young child, your self-esteem is very much affected.
Mm-hmm.
And, I have a son, I have a 14-year-old son. And the one thing I always teach him, to be a leader and believe in yourself, man. And I didn't have that. So bodybuilding gave me that catalyst. And then that's where I think was the driving force. And then I remember one day, Carl, this is for real. I don't know if I've ever told anyone this. I remember being about 11 or 12 years old, and it finished raining in my driveway, and the sun just had come out. You know how you get a rainbow?
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought to myself, there has to be more than life what I see before me, experiences. And I said, I don't want to leave this earth. I swear, this is what I said to myself. I don't want to leave this earth without leaving my mark somehow. I don't want to be the same as what I see before me. And that's really kind of where it came from. That's where it all that's the seed, if you will. Right. And that's what I did. I was just very fortunate, though, and blessed to be in the right place at the right time, have the right work ethic. Everything has to come together. It's a multifaceted situation when you talk about the success of, like, for example, bodybuilding, because very few people make it. There's a lot of incredible bodybuilders out there, but very few make it.
So, who started with you? Like, who was the first person that you trained with that taught you what a lot of the things that you know? Was there one person? Were there multiple people that influenced you in the beginning?
Are you talking about me training and how to train and stuff like that?
Yeah.
I know it's going to sound terrible when I tell you this. No, there was no one.
Right.
Carl, I would just look at books, but I'll simply say this to you. I had an innate ability to actually, with biomechanics and stuff and training, it just felt natural. Now, don't get me wrong. I would watch everyone.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I would pull out what I thought was best. So I believe everything to me has to have an element of logic to it.
Yeah, you're critical.
If it doesn't, I can't function. So that's the way I look. That's why I worked with it, dietarily speaking, chemical wise, and training wise. And so through trial and error, of my own, I was able to just get better and better and better. And it doesn't mean as I got older, I didn't read and try to understand the body more. But at the same time, at the very early on years, I would just read little books and watch little exercises and try to mimic them. And if it didn't feel right, I would change. If it didn't feel right, I would change that movement.
Right. So to fit
you of the movement.
Right. To fit you. Yeah. I want to put this up real quick because we're going to take our first break. Okay. You actually have a personal training business.
Yeah.
Where people can come and work with. Now, can you work with people from far away, or do they have to be here in Louisville?
I don't like to do that. When I do my personal training, I like to be hands-on. And that's one of the contributing factors to us producing, Lance Perkins and I producing the Body Chief program, is that it enables people to actually follow him through the process of me training him and him going through his metamorphosis and getting him in incredible shape. So they're able to view all these different videos, and then it's all done in real time. It's 8 months, I think, worth of videos, 300 something videos. And they're able to see everything that we do, how we train, the nuances of training, the nuances of exercises, how you combine exercises, the dietary aspect. We go in the kitchen, we show them how to cook, we put it all together. You can watch that and listen to that and really garner a lot of information, especially newer people or people just want to get in great shape.
So I see a lot of bodybuilders who are firemen now. That job, while it's life-threatening and you take big risks,
yeah,
it affords you the time to eat right and train and all that, right?
Carl, that's one of the contributing factors to me becoming, even though I'm thankful for my career with the local fire department, that is one of everything I did when I was younger. I was such a bodybuilder, in my brain, like everything came before, I had to make sure it worked with my bodybuilding. But the 24, 48-hour schedule was a perfect catalyst to, anyone who wanted to be a bodybuilder, because you work, you're off 2 days and you work one. And it enabled me to pursue both avenues, both careers. And what people don't realize, well, most people that know me know, I worked a full-time career. Like Ronnie Coleman and I worked full-time jobs during my bodybuilding career. If it wasn't for the fire department, I couldn't have done that. I couldn't have had both. I don't know how Ronnie did it, but they give me time off from work when I needed off. I'd have people work for me. I'd make trades. I mean, it was just a perfect segue. And it was an incredible segue to my personal training business when I retired from bodybuilding.
I want to take a break. When we come back, I want to pick up on Ronnie Coleman. I'm sure you're follling, his challenges with his spine and stuff like that. And I'd just like to ask you some questions about that. We're talking today with Porter Cottrell. He has been an inspiration to me when I was a big fat kid, becoming a lean guy. I just would watch him around. And in fact, I approached him one day when I was very new to the gym. And I said, having you here really sets the bar so much higher for me, because it made me think, I could look like that. Maybe not like, I don't have the discipline to diet. That's my problem. But I thought, I could look like that, or some variation of that. And you were there. It was real. You could see you, touch you, and hear you. And it wasn't a guy in a magazine. You know what I mean? So it's been, I'm so happy to have you on the show today.
I appreciate that, Carl. Thank you.
Take a quick break. We'll be right back with more Superhuman Radio. Stay with us. Remember those rectangular toaster pastries you used to love when you were a kid? Well, Legendary Foods has just made them better. The new cake-style tasty pastry is like nothing you've ever had before. With 20 grams of high-quality protein and less than 1 gram of sugar, you'll feel like you're cheating, but you're not. Go to shrnetwork.biz/legendary and use the code SHR10 to save 10% off your purchase of tasty pastries. Now available in cookies and cream, red velvet cake, birthday cake, blueberry, strawberry, brown sugar cinnamon, and hot fudge sundae. Go to shrnetwork.biz/legendary and use code SHR10 today.
Dogs should be powered by fat and protein, not carbs. That's why Visionary Pet makes low-carb, ketogenic dog food for dogs of all breeds and life stages. From kibble to freeze-dried and even low-carb treats, all Visionary Pet recipes are very low-carb, ketogenic, and made with 100% real meat protein. Shop now and use code SHR for 20% off your first order today. Your dog deserves the lifelong benefits of optimal nutrition. Make the switch to Visionary and see why smart dogs eat low carb.
Millions of people know that Shrewd Food is the smartest way to snack. Ever get that craving for crunchy snacks, but don't want to eat all those empty carbs? Well, instead of puffed corn or wheat like most snacks, Shrewd Food puffs protein powder. This gives these crazy efficient macros: 2 grams of carbs, 14 grams of protein. That's as high as 67% protein, and with only 90 calories. So knock out the carbs, but keep the amazing flavor and crunch you're looking for. Shrewd Food is now available at Walmart and Sprouts. Or go to shrnetwork.biz/Shrewd Food and use the code SHR25 for 25% off your order. Hey, this is Carl Lenore. I am the inventor of Gun Leash. Over 500,000 handguns are lost in the United States every year. If you carry a gun like I do, you are 300 times more likely to lose your gun. And 15% of those guns will end up in criminals' hands and used in the commission of a crime. Gun Leash solves that problem. Gun Leash is a patented, no-tracking proximity device the size of a postage stamp. It will alert you as soon as your gun is outside of your range, so you can never leave your gun behind. To learn more and to be notified when Gun Leash is available at the end of January, go to gunleash.com and get on our mailing list. Gun Leash. Never lose your gun, never leave your gun.
You're listening to the Superhuman Channel. We're ripped and we're ready.
Welcome back. We're talking with Porter Cottrell. He's had an illustrious career as a pro bodybuilder, but even a bigger effect of his life is how he has mentored and changed other people's lives for the better. And that's the value. It doesn't matter about the money. When you leave this planet, it's the number of people you've touched and affected who remember you after you've left. We have some questions. Let me put these up, and then we'll get back on track with my questions. Sergio Delgadillo says, you mentioned the change that had you walk away from competition. What did the death of Mohammed Benaziza, who died in your arms, I believe, have on your ultimate decision to walk away from competition? I remember reading that you administered major aid to him, right? You gave him CPR because you were a fireman. You knew how to do that.
Yeah, for about 45 minutes. Yeah. Momo's death really didn't have a bearing on me retiring per se. I always kind of felt like I never did a lot of chemicals, Carl, believe it or not. Like,
I know.
I was a minimalist. I believed less is better. But they were doing some crazy things with diuretics and potassium and, slow K and stuff like that. And that's, I think Momo got himself in a situation, which he had gotten himself in a situation just the following March that he couldn't get himself out of. And in our ignorance, if you will, to his renal failure taking place through all the projectile bombing and stuff, we could have maybe saved his life, but no, we didn't, and I guess you can blame it on a lot of different people, but his passing was really rough for me, as a friend. I've done CPR hundreds and hundreds of times, but when you do CPR on a friend, somebody you've been hanging out with for 5 or 6 weeks, regardless of the circumstances, it's a little bit jarring, if you will, but that's not why I retired. The reason I retired is because the sport was changing. I tell people all the time, I always felt like I stated earlier, I always felt like an artist when I was bodybuilding. The moment I started feeling like a bodybuilder, I left. And that's what I started feeling like, because the sport was evolving into something it did not mimic, or it changed the way bodybuilding was. I mean, it was no longer about the beauty, if you will. It was becoming more of the mass mongering, and I didn't like me. So I had to step away. And plus I wanted to be healthy.
Yeah, right. And there is an aspect to that too. And we're going to talk about Ronnie Coleman in a second. Thomas Whittingham says, great show, Porter. Thank you for your honesty. Steve Reeves, Bob Paris, and Porter, great proportions, as you pointed out. And really,
I really appreciate that.
Yeah. And back then, that's what it was about. It was about symmetry. It was about balance. It was about, working hard to have your left lat look exactly like your right lat. Nowadays, you just get as big as you can, and that's it.
Yeah. Well, can I tell you what I think a perfect physique is? If I may say this,
Please.
For me, when you look at someone's physique and nothing stands out, there's nothing glaring standds out. Everything perfectly flows.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes, because it's like I don't want to say this like with a girl who has huge boobs, that's all she's got, right? That sticks out.
But a girl can have larger breasts, but if it matches her physique, it's the beauty of the physique.
Yes. And Craig Hollander says, Porter is a legend. How do you feel when people say that about you?
My son asked me that just a couple of weeks ago when we were driving my car. Look, to be honest with you, dude, I just feel like a normal everyday guy. I was just built a little bit different, had a couple of different experiences, but honestly, I'm just me.
I see Porter sometimes coming out of Costco. I'm going in. He's coming out with stuff. I know you're just a regular guy. And that's how that was the thing that endeared me to you, because I had always seen in the books, the bodybuilders, they're like trying to look aggressive and they look like they're constipated. And you were just like this. You always walked fast. You'd walk in the gym, go to your client, do your thing, walk out, come back later. I mean, you were always on the move, but yeah, you were just very approachable, very approachable.
Now, hold up. That being said, I remember retiring from bodybuilding, Carl, and I realized when I got off chemicals, because you can take a minute amount of chemicals and they still affect you hormonally. And then you get the diet and all the stress of travel and all the above. And I remember once I finally stopped taking everything and I realized how much of effect they did have on me to a degree, I remember going to people and apologizing because I'm sure there's been points of times when I was dieting for a show that I don't want to say I was mean, but I was not kind.
Grumpy.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And so I remember doing that. Yeah. So I always try to be a kind person, but sometimes I'm sure, I was not, and, I just maybe was short, if you will.
Yeah. But, you got to cut people slack. So what are your opinions of HRT? Because I happen to know the doses that you use because we talked about it on the show in 2006. You were using doses that would be considered HRT doses today, 300 milligrams. Like, are you a fan of HRT today?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely I am. Like I knew I was going in andropause. I was fortunate enough when I retired from bodybuilding. The only stupid thing I will tell you when I retired, Carl, I was so done with drugs, done with bodybuilding. I completely went cold turkey. How stupid was that? And my system shut down. I remember going to a sports endocrinologist here in Louisville, Kentucky, whatever. And it was 6 months and my total testosterone, Carl, after 6 months of being on nothing was only 60. So that means that my free was totally non-existent.
Yeah.
Fortunate, I went to a specialist in Houston, Texas about 2 months later, Dr. Michael Scally, and he was able to bring my system back.
Yeah.
So I was clean. I didn't take anything for 10 years. And then once Kanan was born, I knew I was going in andropause. And like most men don't even know that women go through menopause and men go through andropause. And then I started a hormonal replacement and I've been on 100 milligrams every 7 days for 14 years.
And that makes you feel good, 100?
Yeah. And your receptor sites do downgrade, that, but I don't want to do any more than that because when you look at my blood work, my blood work is good. But the standard protocol now, Carl, from wellness clinics and from some physicians is 200 milligrams a week. Carl, I would be 225 pounds if I took that.
Right.
And the most gains I've ever made in my entire life, this is God's honest truth. The most gains I ever made in my entire life as a bodybuilder is on 300 milligrams a week.
I remember that. I know. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't need any more than that.
And people, and like right now, there are people in the audience going bullshit. But that you told me that in 2006. That's all you need.
There's one thing about me. I try to always be honest with people. So maybe they won't make the same mistakes these other bodybuilders. And I've done stupid stuff. Everyone knows that. We all have through experimentation. I remember I did the Ironman and I decided, well, you know what? I'm going to bump my milligrams up to 750 a week. That's what I said. Changed my whole physique. It looked terrible because the androgen properties were too much. So therefore you can't really get that crisp, grainy look. So that's what's going on today with the bodybuilders today. So I pulled back again to a smaller dosage, when I started competing again after that show.
I see Ronnie still training. God bless him. He loves to train, but it's kind of sad. Like I almost feel like he should have never went for the first back surgery. He's had like 8 now.
That's hindsight. You think about, you go in when you're going to go have surgery, especially I guess evidently he was in a tremendous amount of discomfort. You don't know how it's going to turn out. And then you have multiple surgeries trying to recover from the surgery that was maybe not the greatest. Right. And you end up in situations that are not great.
So you and I have a love of something that my audience knows I love mine, and that's our inversion tables, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So I would be in Ronnie's shape now if I didn't have an inversion table. I know this because I've had doctors tell me. My lumbar spine is really pretty bad.
Through deteriorating
they're disintegrating. Yeah. But believe it or not, my inversion table keeps me from having pain. I get on it twice a day. I hang upside down like you do, relax the core, feel the spine stretch out.
I read.
I think everybody should have an inversion table, even if you don't lift heavy weights, because you sit all day long.
Yeah, and people don't realize through the aging process, the discs are unable to totally rehydrate themselves. And that's what happens when we rest at night. So to keep your youthfulness and your height, if you will, and the healthiness of the disc, regardless of if you have a back injury or not, like you stated, everyone should do that. Everyone should use an inversion table. Everyone.
Yeah. No,
In my book.
Yeah, they're not expensive. Like I know you have a really good one. You have a Teeters.
Yeah.
And that he was on the show years ago. I have like one that I bought from Played Against Sports for $80. I love it.
It doesn't matter as long as it gets the job done.
Yes.
Yeah, I 100% saved me. It saved me.
So talk about vitamin C. Some years ago, maybe 8 years ago, a study came out that said taking vitamin C before training will keep your mitochondria from being able to adapt. In other words, get stronger and do more. But you and another guy I know have been taking fairly large doses of vitamin C for how many years now have you been doing that?
Since 91.
6
grams.
grams.
92.
You take 6 grams a day?
I do 3 and 3. If I feel like something's, I'm really, over the last 2 or 3 years when people are dealing with the COVID crap, you know, what I've come to find out over the last 5 or 10 years, really it's all about your immune system. So I used to get sinus infections all the time through travel and, you know, airplanes, worst place you can be. And once I started realizing how the importance of vitamin C was, I started increasing my dosage. And boom, I didn't get as many sinus infections. So over the course of the time, I've just stayed consistent. And then over time, you learn that there's other elements that you can do to enhance your immune system. And at the end of the day, Carl, when it comes to overall health and well-being, not only is your nutrients is important from the food that you eat, but taking nutraceuticals that involve enhancing your immune system. Most people, like when they feel something coming on, they just let it come on and they don't think about, okay, hold on, what can I do to strengthen my immune system? And vitamin C, quercetin, vitamin D, and zinc are the 4 most important elements that I could throw at you that are vital for enhancing your immune system. So I do that every day. I don't ever, you know, stray away from that. And if I feel something's coming on, I just increase it substantially for the first 5 or 6 days. And I'm really big on oregano oil drops.
Antifungal.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But it also is a very powerful antibiotic, and it's a booger to take. But you know, that's what you can do. So there's a myriad of different things that you can do to enhance your immune system. I just think vitamin C is one of the easiest ones you can do, and the ones that you should be the most consistent with.
So you're a big fan of egg protein, right?
Egg whites?
Yeah. But I mean, that's egg protein. You're a huge fan. Like a lot of the people that you get ready for competitions, you get them to eat like egg whites exclusively for a while, right?
Yeah, real. I'm just going to be straight with you. I don't like anything like, you know, how people go to and get carton.
Yeah.
I'm not into that. I'm just going to tell you straight up. We'll just put it this way. I tell most people, my whole bodybuilding career was built on food, never a protein drink ever.
Right.
Now, you know, that, I'm so busy. Sometimes I need to keep myself in that positive nitrogen balance. So I'll have a protein drink. But if I didn't have to, I would never touch a protein powder. I'd use all real food. So when I teach people to prepare for shows, there's no protein drinks. It's all real eggs. So most of my life, I guess I ate 3 dozen eggs a day, 3 dozen egg whites a day. Right. I still eat 2 dozen a day.
Right.
A day.
Whole or egg white still?
No, every once in a while, a rule of thumb, for every 6, you can add a yolk. And yolks are great for you. They have CLAs and stuff. So there's other, important nutrients in the egg yolk. But, I just use the egg whites. And every once in a while, I don't really like the taste of the egg yolk anymore, if that makes sense.
A lot of people say the egg yolk makes it because
of the fat content?
Yeah, it's just slower. It's slower to digest.
It does, absolutely. That's 100%. You're exactly right. Mm-hmm.
What do you think about social media and bodybuilding? This is completely different, right? You guys had to work hard to be recognized, to get into a magazine or for something. But today, everybody's a pro. I mean, I'm using that term euphemistically. Everybody's a pro on Instagram. Like you got everybody. What do you think? Has social media been good, bad, or really no difference?
Well, I would like to say it's been good, but sometimes what you see within the Instagram or Facebook, you're seeing snippets and it's not really reality. Mm-hmm. And so the realism's not there. And I think they get a lot of misinformation just from a snippet of a video. So I think it's advantageous to a degree, but I think it's counterproductive to another degree, if that makes sense.
We're going to take our last commercial break. If anybody has questions, put them up now. We'll be right back with more of Porter Cottrell. Stay tuned. Great sleep upgrades you on virtually every level: body fat, muscle mass, mood, brain function, and countless other ways. But taking melatonin alone isn't the answer. Thanks to a brand new sleep formula developed by my friends at Bioptimizers, you can experience the best night's sleep ever. Sleep Breakthrough is a delicious sleep drink that supports your natural melatonin production and relaxation without creating a dependency, so you can have the best night's sleep on demand. It targets 5 different sleep pathways to give you the best sleep ever. And best of all, you'll wake up feeling rested and rejuvenated so that you can have the best day possible. For an exclusive offer for my listeners, go to sleepbreakthrough.com/SHR and use the code SHR10 for 10% off. Plus, you can unlock special gifts with the value of at least $20. This is a limited time offer, so go to sleepbreakthrough.com/SHR right now.
Hey guys, it's time to change your f***ing underwear, and it's time to change to Sheath. Sheath's underwear's revolutionary designs allows your man parts to hang the way they would naturally hang if you were not wearing underwear. And this improves the blood flow throughout the day to the twigs and berries. If you've never experienced wearing a pair of Sheath underwear, boy, is there an exciting experience waiting for you. Grab a pen and write this down. Go to shrnetwork.biz/sheath. That's SHEATH. And use the code SUPERHUMAN to save 20% off your first pair. And get this, if you're not completely satisfied, send them back for a full refund. That's shrnetwork.biz/sheath.
I would easily say that I am the hugest proponent you will ever meet to doing anything that will improve the quality of my sleep. And that's because sleep is linked to just about every metabolic disorder we see in our population today. One of the easiest things you can do to improve the quality of your sleep is to get a pillow that can be shaped into the exact form factor that allows you to get your best night's sleep. And that is My Pillow. I've been sleeping with My Pillow for a few years now, and I can tell you that when I have to travel and stay in hotels, I don't get a good night's sleep because I don't have My Pillow with me. Right now, you can save up to 60% off of everything offered to improve the quality of your sleep at shrnetwork.biz/mypillow when you use the code SHR. Or you can call toll-free 800-889-4938. And remember to use code SHR to save up to 60% off of everything at their website. There are lots of concerns about food supply today. That's why you need White Oak Pastures. White Oak Pastures will deliver food right to your doorstep. You don't even have to go out and be disappointed by shopping in grocery stores. The finest beef, pork, lamb, duck, and more can be found at White Oak Pastures. And now they even have seafood. And best of all, White Oak Pastures has a negative carbon footprint, which means that you don't have to feel guilty for eating your ribeye. Go to shrnetwork.biz/white oak and use the code SUPERHUMAN to save 15% off.
Spit that out right now. This is the Superhuman Channel.
Did you recognize Dwight's voice?
Yeah. and no, listen, I think it's great that you advertise My Pillow.
I'm going to tell you something.
I think that's awesome.
And I just said this to Elisa. I'm not making any money anymore with him.
Really?
Yeah, they paid me. Yeah, I run it. She says, well, why do you keep running a spot? I says, I support him. I feel bad for this guy.
Yeah, I love Michael Lindell.
Well, and you know what's funny? Bed Bath & Beyond, they were all woke and they kicked him out. They just closed like 200 stores.
Yeah. Hey, let me ask you, Carl, how'd that work out for them?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that blows me away, dude.
Yeah. No, I keep running this spot as long if I have inventory, in other words, if I don't have a paying spot to put in that place, I run his spot.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. I really like that.
So now I want to talk about sleep. One of the things that I knew about you back in the day when we were young is that you didn't sleep a lot, and I kind of feel like you felt like you didn't need to sleep a lot. You'd get up in the morning, you were energetic, you'd stay up late working. I know you had a lot of work to do. Mm-hmm. What's your opinion of sleep nowadays?
That's totally changed. I realized that it's a vital, component to overall just well-being. I didn't realize, Carl, if I may, because you grow as you get older, you learn things, and you become wiser. Your body goes through a detoxification when you sleep, and when you don't sleep, you don't detoxify. Your brain doesn't detoxify. I mean, it's really a kind of incredible process that takes place when you rest at night. So that being said, most of my career I built on 3 to 4, 5 hours a night. I used to please if it's 3 or 4 o'clock, please let me get up, and I would fight it and, get up, even though if I know my body needed it. But now I always try to sleep at least 6 to 8 hours every night, minimal 6, but I try to get at least 7 to 8 in the perfect world.
Are you a fan of melatonin?
No, I can't take it. I tell you, as a matter of fact, a couple of months ago, somebody, I thought, what, I'll try some melatonin. I took 1 milligram. I felt drugged the whole day. The whole day I felt drugged.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, I can't do it. It puts me out because I really don't have any issues with sleeping. I mean, I go to sleep just like that, but I don't really have any issues, and I sleep pretty soundly.
What's your opinion of alcohol?
Truthfully,
yeah,
I think it's absolutely terrible for you. I think it's terrible for society. I don't drink. They just came out. Now they're really coming out with more and more information about how the negative effects of alcohol, what it is to the body. And, I didn't know this, Carl. Number 1, it's a neurotoxin. We know that. Number 1, it is a poison. Number 3, and most importantly, it's labeled a class 1 carcinogenic. And I mean, we're just talking 3 elements right there. And look at the destruction. And one of the contributing factors to, my childhood is that my stepfather was an alcoholic until the age 13. And I remember the destruction that caused within families. My brother killed someone drinking and driving, went to prison for 5 years. I mean, here's my thing, dude. I think everything is about moderation and balance. I think alcohol can be advantageous to you to a small degree, but at the end of the day, it's really one of the worst things you can do. If we're really talking, being honest with each other.
I'm with you.
It's the absolute worst. And it destroys brain cells, all of the above.
I've said these things that you're saying over and over again for years. And I've said, the reason they call it intoxicate is because it's the toxic actions, the GABA receptors that alcohol makes you feel woozy. Yeah. And I say, if it's so good, and all these studies come out, a little alcohol there, if it's so good, give it to your dog and give it to your baby. If it's so good, give it to your baby. Yeah. No.
Now, we can agree that maybe wine has bioflavonoids that might be somewhat beneficial to a small degree. But all in all, let's just talk about the gut flora. So the majority of your immune system comes from your gut. Around 75% of your immune system is from your gut. When you drink just 1 drink, that destroys your gut flora. And it takes days and days and days of a restoration in order to bring the immune system back up. Is that fair to say?
Yes, because think about it. If you work in a laboratory and you're working about a pathogen, but your microbes, right? The things in your stomach.
Yeah. I lost you.
I said, if you're working in a laboratory, and you want to get rid of pathogens, and pathogens are microbes like the microbes in your gut, what do? You get alcohol and you wipe it down. That kills. So when you drink alcohol, you're actually killing the microbes in your gut.
The microbiome is gone. And it takes forever. For example, a person could do a round of antibiotics. Studies show it takes 6 months for that microbiome, the flora, to develop itself again to its full level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, I don't drink. But I don't. Anyone who wants to do that, it's a choice they have to make for themselves.
So what I say, Porter, is I don't lie to myself and say that it's good for me. When I drink, I tend to drink a lot. I don't drink often, but when I do, I put a buzz on. But I don't lie to myself and say that's good for me. I say I just kind of shit on myself tonight. That's what I did.
Look at me. It's okay every once in a while, but it's the continual process that really is negative for us.
Do you have any sports that you play besides your bodybuilding routines and training and stuff like that?
Like when I was younger?
Yeah. Did you play baseball, basketball?
No, I played basketball and wrestled and played football, but I quit every one because they always interfere with my bodybuilding. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not a big sports guy. I like to play sports, but I'm not one to go and sit and watch sports. Yeah. I've just never, I don't even watch bodybuilding. I'm too busy with other things going on in my life. And I just, I do like to go to Top Golf though. and do stuff like that. I enjoy that.
Yes.
But I would never take 4 hours to play 18 holes.
Right. Yeah, that's good. That's good. You can get all the excitement without having to walk for 3 hours. And
Absolutely, yeah.
So have we missed anything that you wanted to talk about?
Do
you follow bodybuilding at all anymore? Do you know who's in the game and who's not?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Well, just a smidge. I'm not really a fan, to be honest with you. I don't like to be around bodybuilding per se. I don't like to go to shows or anything like that.
Is there anybody you like right now that's up and coming? Any athletes that you look at and go, wow, this kid's got a really pretty physique? Or
well, there's a couple of the plastic physiques that are really nice, but I don't really have a desire to, I can appreciate every single person that steps on that stage from a standpoint of the hard work and dedication and sacrifice that they make to get there, and their genetics and all the above. But other than that, I kind of like to let it go in one eye and out the other eye.
Yeah. So I interrupted you when I said, did we miss anything? I think we should also acknowledge something first. Hold that thought.
What's that?
We lost Peggy Fishman.
Yes, absolutely.
Peggy Fishman was a pioneer in Louisville, Kentucky. She was written up in a couple of books by what's that girl's name that was on Three's Company?
Susanna Summers.
Yeah, she was written up in books. She was our pioneer in Louisville, Kentucky for anti-aging, and she just passed away at 80 something, right?
Yeah, I think she's 80 or 81. I was with them for 22 years, and if I may say this, Carl, IAAM Wellness, they were the ones that helped me bring back, my body's hormonal system after working with Dr. Michael Scally, and I've been with them, and still to this day, I'm still with them.
Right.
And she was a pioneer, and in Staven Bott, which is one of my closest friends, he runs the wellness clinic, and you got Flip, which is her husband. They're all played an integral role for a lot of people within the limits of Kentucky and beyond, really, actually in other states come to see them. But it's unfortunate in her passing. So hopefully, though, her legacy will be able to be carried on through the wellness clinic, though.
And that's why I wanted to remember her on today's show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they were a sponsor on my show years ago. And you used to do the commercials, remember?
Oh gosh, Carl, I used to do something. That's awesome.
I'm gonna find that commercial. I'm gonna send it to you. All right, now what did you want to say that we didn't cover?
There's nothing I want to say, but listen, I just want to say that it's people like you that get out information that involves fitness and all the way around. I'm sure this will probably be the last time you just let me know that your show at the end of the year might be leaving. And so what I would simply say to you is I appreciate you always having me on, and I appreciate what you've done for the sport of fitness and overall wellness for people.
I like
information.
Physical culture. Like Bernard McFadden. Remember Bernard McFadden's magazine?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Physical culture.
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate that, and there's other podcasts out there, but listen, without someone sharing knowledge and interviewing people and learning things, people wouldn't grow intellectually, and they wouldn't understand some of the things that they know today. Like just a simple fact that we talked about alcohol. If someone, just one person hears that and says, you know what, I didn't know it was that bad for us, and they say, hey, I'm going to abstain from that. Then, we've done a good job.
And let me put this back up. If anybody wants to work with Porter, it's really, really easy. You just have to go to, hold on. The show is rushing me. You can go to either portercottrell.com or you can go to bodyachieve.com and sign up. And as he said, he has a library. It's like when you buy magazines and you learn a new workout or you learn a new movement and you go take it to the gym. This is the same thing, except it's digital and it's video, and he explains how to do this and do that. So give it a try, give it a look. Go to bodyachieve.com, show it some love. Porter's an outstanding athlete still today in his 60s. And how old are you now, Porter?
I just turned 61.
Okay, so I'm 64. So I'm going to stand still and wait.
64 years young. 64 years young. That's the way you got to look at it.
Yeah, and check it out and let them know you heard about him here on Superhuman Radio, please. And thanks for being here today, Porter. I know that.
I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. You take care of yourself, okay?
All right, well, I'll see you soon. Soon.
Okay,
right.
Take care.
And that's it for today. It's Friday. I have no show tomorrow. We are launching Gunleash this weekend. We're packaging them up. Go to gunleash.com if you want to be notified as soon as they're available to sell. Never lose your gun. Never leave your gun. 500,000 guns are lost every year. Don't be one of them. Besides feeling like a goofball, you'll get in some trouble. So, all right, look, see you Monday, and thank you so much for being here today. And I am out.